Even with billions of dollars pumped into this agency in a deliberate hiring surge, they still cannot hire the right people for the right positions. And this is happening within the IRS. And right now, what they need more than anything is revenue agents. This job is in the 0512 job series on USAJobs.gov. There are close to 100 open jobs in this position. The goal is to hire over 1,000. And most of these, they're over GS-13, which means the salary range is between $103,000 and $191,000 a year, depending on your location. Even though the IRS has received billions of dollars for hiring, the number of revenue agents has decreased by 8%. So why can the IRS not hire enough revenue agents? The IRS says there's an overall shortage of people with the right experience. If you look at some of the job announcements for revenue agents, you will see that under qualifications, one of the requirements is to have a CPA, which is a Certified Public Accountant certificate. Less than half of accountants in this country possess a CPA. And the number of people actually getting CPAs, that has decreased across the country. But there's another way to get in. The IRS will also accept people who have a bachelor's degree in accounting or 30 semester hours in accounting. This is in contrast to many other federal government jobs. A lot of government jobs, they have no educational requirement. They do not require certification. They do not require a degree. Only about 20% of federal government jobs actually have a degree requirement. But if you consider revenue agents are like accountants, they need to have that educational foundation. They're going to be looking at multi-millionaires that have the resources in order to evade taxes. They're going to be able to hire the best and brightest accountants or tax strategists. So that's why this educational foundation is required for this position. A part of this comes down to how complex the tax code is. Last year, the tax code was over 6,000 pages long. Do regular people have the time and patience to read through 6,000 pages? That's like the equivalent of 23 books back to back. And even if they could find the right people, can they incentivize them to join the IRS? Well, a recent report mentioned it's unreasonable to expect the IRS to consistently out-recruit the competition. No big surprise here. If you look at one of the big financial firms, let's look at Morgan Stanley. What are they paying their CPAs? The average salary of a senior accountant is over $200,000 a year at Morgan Stanley. It's reasonable to assume that many CPA holders leaving the private sector to the government would be experiencing a pay cut. And it's not just that. When you ask people about federal government careers, usually you get a negative answer. Usually you think of an organization that's slow to move, that's not motivated, that's not getting paid enough. So not many people with that type of talent are excited to join an organization like that. In fact, a senator recently wrote a letter to Americans urging them not to apply to IRS jobs. But outside of the negative stereotype, one of the main reasons I think the IRS is struggling is the way that they're recruiting. It's not much of a recruitment effort. They throw up some job announcements on USAJobs.gov. Maybe they hold weekly virtual hiring events, and that helps to a certain degree, but that's all they're really doing. The IRS had planned to bring on over 3,000 revenue agents last year, but in the first 6 months, they only recruited 34. Right now, the IRS said that they're exploring solutions in order to fix their problem with not having enough revenue agents. I think the solution here is to behave in much of the way the private sector is. You need to identify trained recruiters, get out there on the social platforms, get out there on LinkedIn, find skilled and talented accountants, and you have to incentivize it. You have to lead with value. This is what we're going to offer you. We're going to offer you telework. We're going to offer you the potential to have annual bonuses. This is your career path. There's potential for promotion. Now, the good news is on USAJobs.gov, a lot of these IRS jobs, they use the direct hiring authority. And this is for expedited hiring, right? The OPM grants it to federal agencies. But it's still taking roughly 3 or 4 months to get somebody onboarded. And that's a lot longer than the private sector. And yeah, the IRS has been leaning towards telework, towards remote work. And several years ago, this was unheard of for the IRS. They wanted all their people in the office. But recently, they had a mandate that employees work from their offices at least 50% of the time. The IRS has been doing a good job when it comes to hiring their customer service representatives. There was a huge push. They were able to get thousands of people in those roles, so that's decreased the wait time when you call the IRS. When a customer or a citizen calls them, the wait time has been reduced. But the core component of that agency is to extract tax revenue. That is why they exist. And they cannot do that mission unless they have the right people, meaning the revenue agent, in that role. Another thing to consider with the IRS is many people have mixed feelings when it comes to taxes. Most people, they do not like taxes. They think that we're being excessively taxed. For example, you get your salary. The federal tax comes out, the state tax comes out, the payroll tax comes out, right? Then after that, maybe you have property tax. Maybe there's a boat tax. Maybe there's a capital gains tax. So money that has already been taxed is once again getting taxed again, and in some cases, taxed for a third time. And a lot of people, they don't think that's fair. They think that maybe once you tax the money to begin with, it shouldn't get taxed again. This is even more confusing when you start to pay attention to our national deficit. And despite the tax revenue, our country remains in debt. We owe over $30 trillion. And despite raising taxes or double taxing everybody, it doesn't seem to be making a dent. It really doesn't seem sustainable, and this could be one of the reasons that people are conflicted about working in the IRS. But it could be the right opportunity for you. If you are interested in a federal government job and a federal government career, you probably have a lot of questions on your mind about the hiring process, about USAJobs.gov, about what is competitive service, what is accepted service. So I did a live stream recently, answered over a dozen questions. A lot of these same questions, they could be on your mind. If you're interested in that, then I want you to watch this video next. If you would like to see more videos like this, please click like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.